Nós tivemos o privilégio de perguntar para Sophie Hyde, que foi a diretora do Boa Sorte, Grande, algumas coisas sobre o filme, algumas questões que chamaram muito a nossa atenção. Então lá vai, Sophie, a primeira. No que você se inspirou para fazer essa obra de arte sobre a sexualidade? Você fez pesquisas? Foi alguma história que você leu ou que você ouviu de alguém? De onde você conseguiu tirar tanta verdade sobre a sexualidade de uma mulher?
Hello, this is Sophie Hyde. I'm the director of Good Luck to Grande. This is a little interview for Di and Jal or in Brazil. Sorry if I got your names wrong, which is very likely. We did research, we looked at a lot of films where their characters were all in one space, like the film Lock, of course, and kind of looked at how we could kind of create a cinematic film and an interest for an audience the whole time. And I suppose one of the main things we did was speak with sex workers and a kind of big range of people who had experience in sex work, so we could kind of find just how varied that job was. And then eventually some people that kind of became more significant consultants through the scripting, the edit and the post-production, that really helped us find something more unique and more specific about Leo. And because, you know, sex work is a job that is, you know, has people from all walks of life in it, and just like any job really. And it was great for us to be speaking to some people who had that same thing that Leo has, which is kind of a desire to get under the skin of somebody and to get into their minds and to hear what they need and what they're saying, and kind of is quite vocational about his career, while acknowledging that it's still a job and it's still transactional, and that was kind of an enjoyable part of what we were making. So yeah, talking to sex workers and having them join us as quite significant consultants was the main thing that we really did for this. But I had done a lot of work and research into ideas of consent when it comes to sex and other things as well. And so that fed into that as well.
Tendo como base a vida da professora Nancy, o quanto que as questões religiosas, morais, sociais impactam na saúde sexual de uma mulher?
I think religious and moral issues impact on everyone's sexual life. It's not something that I have a direct understanding of because I don't come from a religious family. But certainly we see sex as a kind of moral issue, and I don't think we should. I think sex is something that we can take great pleasure in, that we can use to be close to somebody, that we can find enjoyment, satisfaction, release in. And I'd love if we could take it out of the ideas of religious and moral sentiment. But yeah, I mean, we judge women in particular about sex a lot, and that's unfortunate, and that's limiting, I think, for women and the people that also have sex with them. I think it's important that we work out how to be kind to each other, we work out how to treat each other well, and that is when it comes to relationships that are sexual or not sexual. How do we look after each other? How do we leave each other better than we found the other person? These are kind of ethical considerations, I suppose, of how we behave, that aren't about morals, that aren't about ideas of romance that live forever, or ideas of being a good or a bad person because of the activities that you partake in. This is a long-winded way of saying, yes, I think sometimes religious and moral issues have limited and dampened something that can be joyful and wonderful and messy and stupid and weird, and it would be nice to free ourselves from those things.
Boa Sorte, Grande é grito de liberdade, às vezes até sussurro, né? Você acredita que os homens estão preparados para entender tudo que envolve o filme e realmente essas questões femininas?
To think of the world as divided into a binary idea of men and women. So I think there'll be people who understand and relate to it, and there'll be people who won't. I hope, like any film, there are people who see themselves on screen, and also people who enjoy seeing somebody that's different from them and understanding someone else and walking in their own shoes. I hope that people see, watch somebody with compassion, somebody that struggled with something and fit themselves into a box for their whole life and haven't gone after what they wanted. I hope that we'll find compassion for that person. And similarly, I hope we'll look through Leo's eyes as well at what it means to be somebody who's very generous and giving of his time and his skills beyond just what he's being paid for, but also someone who has been given a great deal of shame from his own family and that has chosen and worked out how to rise above that in some way and tried to not let that thing be the thing that limits him. So I can't break it into what men will understand and women will understand. All I can say is, yeah, I hope people see it because it's familiar or because it's not familiar. And I hope that's the role of a story in our lives, to open our perspective just a little bit more. How do you see women with 50 living their sexuality without taboos? Well, pleasure is an important thing and something we should all have. I think Nancy says that in the movie. It's something that we're allowed to go after and that we're allowed to want. And unfortunately, we've been taught that our bodies are there for somebody else in the most part. In fact, we've been taught to please somebody else, those of us that are raised as women. And I hope that there's an opportunity for women to think about and explore and experiment with what they want in every way. That would be freedom to me. It's not suddenly having an orgasm, suddenly having sexual partners or whatever. It's like giving yourself the chance to explore what it is that feels good to you, what it is that you want. That's freedom. Thank you.
E nós queremos agradecer a Paris Filmes, toda a equipe, por esse convite que significou muito pra gente, porque é exatamente esse o nosso trabalho, é falar sobre vida, sobre liberdade, sobre identidade, sobre sexualidade, sobre as coisas que nos prendem, sobre os nossos limites.